there any additions to the agenda? Let it show there be no additions to the agenda. Citizen comments? Any citizen comments? EBH Energy Engineering bids for Fifth Street.
Did you put the bid tabs in the? Okay. I'll stand here beside. So, we went out for bids on 5/20/25, open bids on 6/26/25. We mailed out advertisements to 2 plan rooms and 23 local contractors. We got 5 bidders. My estimate that I had, shows on the sheet, we changed a few things from the application. The application amount we applied for was $984,834, and my estimate at the time we sent out for bids was $1,147,806. We changed a few things so the estimate was a little higher. Then of the 5 bidders, 4 came under my estimate. 1 was over, 1 was for asphalt, the other 4 were for concrete. And Kansas Concrete LLC out of Nickerson was a low bidder for concrete pavement at $939,026.87, which is $45,807 under the original estimate that we turned in for the KDOT grant. So, and when we say that, any construction there'll be changes. We'll have change orders out there. Things will change. So I'm sure most of the time it's over. Sometimes it's under, but. Anyway, I have never worked with Kansas Concrete before, but I'd called someone on his reference list, and I looked over his project list, and I think they'll be able to do the job for us and do a good job for us.
And that's to do concrete for the whole street.
Yep. 10-inch for the first piece and 6-inch for the rest. Yep. 10-inch up to that driveway going into that truck business, I believe. And then also, you see on the bottom there, the anticipated start dates. So,
August
Kansas
11th.
Concrete would want to start here in August, is that correct? Yes.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Brandon, by the way.
Are you the owner?
I am, yeah.
How long have you been doing concrete work?
I've had my own business for 10 years, and then I was doing concrete for about 5 years before that. So
Okay.
it's about the only thing I know how to do, honestly.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that sort of shocked me is how far under he came in under the bid. And I just thought, well, are we going to make that up with, who is it? How much money was left? From the first to the second bidder, I mean, there was $128,000 left on the table. But I just thought, well, we're going to try and, just me having a little bit of background in this, not an expert by any means, but usually change orders start popping up real quick.
And every job does. Every job has change orders. I wish I could say I do a perfect set of plans, but I don't. There's always something, or there's always something we uncover that we didn't expect. We dig up something. There's always something. But we'll have someone watching the job. We'll do our best. And
You're the general?
no,
Will you be
I'm
over-
the engineer.
Okay, so who's going to be the general over
Army General Contracting. And-
over your own job?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have one
Some
of our
oversight.
inspectors there
Okay.
on behalf of the city. Well, we have
Okay,
a
I
contract-
didn't remember the particulars.
Yeah, we have a
on
contract
that.
with the city to do the plans, surveying plans, and to do construction services. So we'll have someone there watching, keeping track of stuff.
Okay.
So, and when we had talked about that, if things aren't right, they have to be torn out and redone, so.
Yeah. And just if I can add a little bit to that point specifically, I just for fun, I was like looking through all the bid tabs and looking like us and Morgan Brothers, if you take everything except for the 6-inch paving, we're like essentially the same. If you take out the 6-inch paving. I got super aggressive on 6-inch paving because we pour hundreds of thousands of square feet of flat work every year. That's like right in the middle of our wheelhouse. Like we're 100% set up for that. So I can get super aggressive on that because I know that that's something we can do like really quick, really easy. That's like pretty easy. So I got that particular line item, the 5,000 something square yards of 6-inch paving. That I got pretty aggressive on, and that's I think the biggest difference. So if that helps
No,
explain a little bit where we're coming from.
Yeah.
We have, like I said, we have 5 bidders here, and they're all
varying degree, but they're all, for a $1 million job, the percentages aren't just a terrible amount apart. So this is a good, there's not anyone that's far out on this one, I didn't think.
Okay. So, as far as, lost my thought here for a second. It's coming with age, so I write everything down. But, so you start August 11th, and what do you anticipate, how long of a project it's gonna be?
It says in the bid 80 days, so that's kind of what we're shooting for. I always try to tell everybody it's going to take longer than I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier to get it done ahead of schedule than
Right.
ask for extra time. So the official word is we're going to take the full 80 days. Ideally, we get it done a little bit than that, but you know.
And there's, we'll have someone here watching too. If it starts raining,
Yeah,
we keep
that's
track
right.
of the days. If we find something, like I said, we start digging, then we find some hunk of concrete that's buried we didn't expect, a basement, or who knows what. You never know what you're gonna find. We'll have to, there'd be a change order, but a change time, depending on what it was. So there's always something that comes up. We keep track of that.
So for clarity, you've already awarded.
No,
that's
Okay.
our job.
That's our
to
that's what we
Okay,
do
that's what
tonight.
I'm
If you
asking.
guys,
Okay.
yep.
Well, that helps, me showing up and meeting you. But that was my only concern as well.
And like I said, I wasn't
pretty-
concerned about that. That's just a pretty good range of, I think, fairly close all the way through on these, honestly.
It's a $400,000 spread,
Yeah,
roughly.
and for a $1 million job, yeah.
Well, you put it in that perspective, I can see your point, but before I was thinking,
Yeah.
that's still a lot of money. So, but I think, the way we normally do it, the low bid gets it. So, if you have any,
Did we had talked about the offshoot of Santa Fe? Is that part of this bid?
This is not.
This is not.
That would be a change order. If he decided to
Okay.
do that, he would honor his 6-inch price to pave more.
I don't even know what that.
Yeah, it'd just be.
So there's a side street that connects 4th and 5th Street that's
Okay.
currently also unpaved,
Okay.
and so I think
Is that an alternate?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's just right here.
Gotcha.
I don't know if we actually voted on it. Maybe we would need to. vote on
And
it, but-
first I heard about it was after the bid opening. So.
Okay, I was gonna say, we kind of, I think, had consensus as a council, but we might need to vote on it for sure. But to just go ahead and wall everything's here to curb and gutter and do that offshoot, because it doesn't make much sense to have, 100 feet of unpaved road between a bunch of paved roads.
Yeah.
So,
is that
Yeah.
the one next to the nursing home?
yeah,
Going
right.
north and
the
south?
one that
Okay,
goes
okay.
north and south.
We put the
Should
approach and
add
about
a lot of
across it.
I mean, it's pretty
Yeah,
short.
just
Yeah,
connecting
what
that.
about-
Short
Isn't part of
walk
it,
to Main Street.
That's not part of
That
it.
is the award that I was gonna talk about.
This-
That'd be
this-
another change order.
Is
We would
part
also-
is
we
part
would
of
also-
Santa Fe paved, or not paved, but asphalt, is it, or am I
No, it's all
mistaken?
gravel.
Getting
Okay, yeah,
whether it's an easement or.
I should know that.
Got it.
There's not
That's why we
enough
did it.
room on the north side to even put sidewalk in. Like, there's room on the south side to get easement to put sidewalk, but that's not even
It
included.
just-
I knew we were
Yeah.
something we're gonna hold off or something.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could do it, but we were at a point where we're on a deadline with the project, and that would require right of way or purchase, it just.
And it was in the original estimate, it
Yeah.
had been add on,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
The sidewalk, what are you talking about?
Yes, the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Well, this is great, it's sort of moving along, the way I like it.
yeah. Like I said, I think we've got good bids, so.
Have you worked with the other contractors, just
Yeah, I've worked with the other 4.
the other 4 you have? And Venture's a name that I recognize, but I think, at least from my seat, doing concrete all the way is the best option. I mean, we just talked about that last meeting about West Street, how that's 35 years old and we've had to do nothing to it. Versus the rest of the streets that need it every 5 years.
Yeah, I agree, yeah, concrete is the best option, so.
Yeah.
Comments, Mark?
I'm liking what I'm seeing on some of this, and I do agree with everybody else. I believe that we do need to, I do like that this is moving along pretty fast. Also think that we need to consider Santa Fe at some point, maybe not this time, but at some point. I'm thankful that you've come to introduce yourself and to talk with us. With everything, I like what I'm seeing so far. So-
I have no concerns.
Right.
Awarding the bid look there.
Right, so.
Is this the first job you've actually done with this contract?
It will be, yes. Yeah.
I just need a motion if you guys ready.
Anything you want to
Yeah,
add?
I think it's, if EVH feels good,
I'm with you.
yeah, absolutely.
That's-
He's been in business for long enough, I think he can handle it.
Somebody wanna put that in the form of a motion?
Do we wanna add the bid plus Santa Fe?
Let's,
Or Santa Fe,
yeah, how does
or
that-
how do
Let's
we do
award the
that?
bid now. I'll figure out the quantities. I'll talk to him and see, make sure he'll keep his bid prices to that and work up a cost, and I'll bring that cost back to you. And then vote on adding that to the project.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, all change orders need to be approved by the council. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, like if it's just minor changes in quantities, like if we get out there, we end up doing 20 more feet of curb for some reason, we have a bid item for that. I'll have a final change order for change in quantities, minor change in quantities like that. So there will be a final change order just for stuff like that, but anything major, and we'll go over that at the pre-construction conference when we set a date. If it's awarded here, we'll set a date for a pre-construction conference. Any one of you who wants to come to that can. We'll go over the project. We'll go over those specifics on how change orders are handled, how the project's paid, everything else, so.
Sure.
How does, and you probably went over it, but how does the grant, is there any effect versus what the bid was for the grant versus what the final is, or how does that?
This is just my summary. I keep a summary of the project. The grant was for $787,000. That will not, they'll go under that if the project comes in under. They won't go over that. They'll
Okay.
pay 80%, the city is 20% of everything that comes along.
Okay, yeah.
So to get 100% of the grant money, the project is $984,834 to get 100% of their grant money.
Okay.
So,
So the most we will get in the grant is $787.
yep. So
And-
right now, if it comes in exactly as it's bid, we're 45,000 under, so you would not get all that grant money. Because we're underneath that right now.
But if we add that little section in, will we be getting 100%
And you'll go over and you'll
of it?
get the whole amount from them, but you'll be putting in
Okay.
100% of some of it yourself at the
Right.
end. Yeah.
Is there, just so we're clear, that would put the total project maybe over the amount, but would that be considered out of scope because the grant we got was just for Fifth Street?
I don't think so, because it's tied to it. I'd check with Michelle at KDOT and just say, hey, she's always let me before. It's,
Okay.
it's connected to the project. We're doing the approach and the valley gutter on that section anyway, and we're just extending that. She's always let me in the past, I'd run
Okay.
that by her.
Okay.
If nothing
I
else,
just wanted to
clear, I
make
bet they'd
sure.
let you put sidewalk on this to use it, the rest of that money, a piece of sidewalk or whatever, so.
Yeah. Okay. I guess they budgeted for it, so.
Yeah, they won't go a penny over, no matter, for a few years they'd award it, and then projects were bidding like crazy high, you know what I mean? They're not getting any more, you'll have to either cut the project back or make up the difference,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. I'd make a motion to accept Kansas Concrete LLC out of Nickerson, Kansas, the bid in the amount of $939,026.87 to pave 5th Street.
Second.
Got a motion by Aaron Gleason, a second by Aaron Raines. Is there any more discussion?
Good job.
Thank you. Any more discussion on the Fifth Street project? Any other questions for the engineer or the man doing the work?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good meeting you.
All in favor? All opposed? Passes 5-0.
I'll
So,
get your
4-0.
contact from Joel, so it's fine.
Show Sarah Wolf's not present.
Yeah.
It's all on their bid sheet, you have the original. It's all
Oh,
on there.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Thanks again.
Congrats.
Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. All right, see you guys.
See ya.
I have a notice of award here. I see I have a typo on mine, though.
I'll send it to you. Yep. Yep, thank you. I can write that in correct, or I can send you another one tomorrow. But the mayor has to sign it, and
I will call him in tomorrow if
Okay.
they wanna fix that. I'd rather have that,
What do we do?
sign that contract, awarded.
this is just a notice of award. It's not the contract yet, it's a notice of award.
Notice of
It gives
award.
him, basically his insurance company, will say that he's been awarded, then he can get his bonds, which by state statute he has to have before we can enter into a contract with him.
Okay.
But this says that, the city's intention is to hire him, so. My fingers, I typed in one extra digit there, so.
I understand that.
I will send that out tomorrow.
Perfect. I'll call him then.
Okay. And then, yeah, just sign it, scan it, send it back to me, and I'll get it to him.
Perfect. Will do.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks, Beth.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel.
If you think of any other questions, call me, email me.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more discussion on Fifth Street project? Consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the regular council meeting of June 17, 2025.
Make a motion to approve regular council meeting June 17, 2025.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Raines.
Second.
Here a second. Mark Bryant. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion for a special council meeting on June the 24th, 2025, and I think that was a budget workshop.
Make a motion to approve special council meeting June 24, 2025, which was the budget workshop.
Motion made by Aaron Raines. Here a second.
Second.
Second by Mark Bryant. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. Entertain a motion for appropriation ordinance 070125 AP in the amount of $94,705.91.
Make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 070125 AP for the amount of $94,705.91.
Second.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Raines and a second by Mark Bryant. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. Department heads, electric department, Curtis, got a report? Got anything you wanna say? Council got anything you wanna ask Curtis? Any questions for Curtis and council? Jason's on vacation, I understand.
He doesn't have anything. They're continuing on with the sewer cleaning and, keeping up with the mowing.
When are they starting the street project?
Whenever the county, cause we get material from the county, so when they're up and running, then we will start.
I saw. I guess I didn't see it, but
I heard about
my
it.
wife told me that there were some Facebook posts about the section of Prairie over there.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's
Pearl.
doing a bunch of work too.
Yeah.
So I understand why it hasn't been patched.
Yeah.
But
If anybody has questions like that, we still have that text hotline thing, don't we? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
You might
and
wanna let people know that, or think about it.
Well, I usually, new people that move into town, I have a little brochure with that text information, and I make them sign up before they leave my office, so.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Any more discussion on Water Street? Council wants to talk about? Move on to the police chief, Michael.
The only thing I had, we had the white grain go in the shop, had some electronic issues. We got it all sorted out, so it's back up and going again. So, ended up being a brand new battery that had a dead cell in it, so once they finally figured it out, they warranted the battery, so we'll get to go there.
Chief, how are we with any applicants for the department?
I think that's
I think that's on there.
special counsel
Oh, okay.
or executive session.
Oh, never mind.
Any guys got any questions for Mike? Moving on, fire chief, Mike.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Any questions for Mike on the fire department? Any questions for Pam? She's got a report in here.
What?
Do we need to bring that up on the rec donation at Sunshine?
Is he for sure donating? Okay. So the rec is wanting to donate a gazebo looking type that they had on the west side of the baseball field, 'cause to us to be used in a park or wherever. And I thought a good place for that would be to put it at the pool. So that way it's create a little bit more shade for the kids to play under. Not to play, but to hang out under.
It's on the west side of our baseball field.
Yes. Yep. It's have the blue roof on it.
Is it in good shape or?
It looks to be in pretty decent shape. So there's no holes, no rust or anything like that. So.
I'm just not even familiar with that. I'm not sure.
Do you have the picture still?
Maybe.
Is it where you park or is it?
It's by the dugout.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's like that bencher and then like there's little open space and then there's
It's
a
roughly
gazebo
22 by.
West of the dugout.
I know. I'm trying to.
south of the bench.
Oh, that's pretty nice looking.
Yeah.
Oh, the rock. They're getting rid of the rock pit.
Yeah. The cat box.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just take
You
the
know,
tent.
you know what it looks like?
Take the tent off. and
Covers
cut
the
the
rock.
legs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So
I
we're
was like thinking of a separate structure.
oh yeah.
Will that fit in the swimming pool area? Pretty good.
Make it fit.
Yeah, we'll make it fit.
Probably looks like the southwest corner. Probably the rest of that.
Yeah, that's where we're.
Which they used to have the temporary stuff that they put up, right? Or they still do that?
They did, but it doesn't create much shade in there. It's
You know,
pretty
it's not
hot.
shade.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
I mean, if
Tell-
they're gonna get
thank
rid
you.
of it.
Yeah. Yep. So that was happening yesterday, I believe. Other than that, I don't have anything in, unless you guys have questions about my report.
Well, the only thing I'll let you know, I drove by Eco Devo. They broke ground, so just if you haven't
Basement
seen
stuff,
it,
yeah.
Doug.
I'm sure Connor's seen
Yeah, I can walk out my door. See?
So there's one with a basement and 2-car garage, and one with no basement
Two-car
and
garage.
2-car garage.
One car
it.
garage.
I think it's one car.
Is it?
garage.
One car
I don't
garage.
think there's
One
any-
with basement with one car garage.
Okay, I thought.
Yeah, there's no
Maybe
way
there-
there's a two-car garage on that. It's one.
Yeah.
I
It's
guess
one.
it is what it is, but
Yeah.
it's nice knowing that that's here.
Yeah.
No, the only thing that I had to drive her, it's just all this, your update on the violations. Informative, and it's like I sort of forgot, so I had to drive around and see what we were talking about.
I do need some directions regarding the code violation on some of the property. On the 112 South Monroe, that's old Bob Tube's place. You know, the Tompkins took over.
Oh, yeah.
And I reached out and asked her what her plan is, you know, timeline and stuff like that, and she said they have no plan at this time. And I got that text today, and I sent it yesterday whenever you text me. So I don't know. And then like the let's see, 804 North Main. I'm having a hard time getting the owner to commit to a timeline, so I didn't know if you guys want to set a deadline and be like, if I can set a deadline and say, hey, here's the final deadline, we're not pushing it any farther, something needs to be done, or we're gonna move on with the process.
Well, 2 things. As far as the 112 South, you requested a response, right? So you
Yes.
got your response.
Yeah.
Now I guess you request a detailed
And I
schedule
did,
of when it's coming down.
yeah, mention to her about our idea of us getting a bid to take it down and she can reimburse us back. I did not get a response for that.
I don't know if we should do that, do you? We're not.
Well, we were
Well,
talking
well, I mean,
about
it
it
would be
last
assessed
time.
to
Just like the others that we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're assessed to their taxes, so then they would just
Oh, I
pay.
see. Did you
I
tell
mean-
her that's the benefit to her? Is this gonna be a lien?
No, I just told her like, can we take it down for you and you reimburse us back? And
Well,
she,
I guess it's been on here for like 2 years, just with the ownership changes, and I feel like when there's an ownership change, we should work with the new owner, but it's been on there long enough, I think we just set a deadline. It's
We've already
mostly
had a
down
hearing,
by,
so
yeah,
we
we can,
tear it down.
we
It's
could tear it down
condemned, yeah.
tomorrow if we wanted, but I think we set a deadline and say, we'd like to have it down by this, or we're gonna get our own bid and tear it down like we do the others, and then it'll be assessed to their taxes.
What do you think is appropriate time frame? Because we won't run into this again, right? I mean, this is an
Hope
unusual.
not.
I mean, if we do it to this particular owner, then we're gonna have to do it the same to all of them, right? So
Well,
is
yeah, I mean,
30 days appropriate?
I was thinking the end of the year.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I think 60
Maybe
to 90.
90 days.
Yeah, and if you see some kind of progress or something.
Yeah, then we could.
Think we
Or
have
if
somebody
they come
lined
in
up to
and
get it
say, yeah,
done.
they're coming in, if we give them not 60 and, oh, well, they can't come till October 1st, but with schedule
So then
here.
we'd wait.
Yeah, then
Yeah,
we
till
won't,
they turn it.
but I think we're to the point that, you know, that they've owned it for probably a year now,
Yeah.
and it's been on there, like, I just think we set a deadline, 60 or 90 or something like that. We move
Well,
forward
I'm
like
in
the other
agreement,
ones.
but there has to be a time.
Yeah.
60 would be end of August, 90 would be end of September.
First meeting in September?
It still
Start
would be
just-
good weather,
I just
no
think-
rain.
First meeting in September.
Yeah, just September 1st, it goes down and then we're with the plan, and then for our first meeting in September, we'll know they either went and did it themselves, or we need to
Maybe
vote
we
to
just
get a
put
bid.
things out to bid on 60 days if it's not down. Cause it'd go to bid, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could just vote that.
Yeah.
At that first
September
meeting in
1st, we
September.
send out the bid.
Yeah.
Then we're
We
gonna
don't
be
even have to have
getting,
another vote.
like the sooner the better, cause it starts getting wet.
Yeah, and it's gonna get cold, I mean.
Yeah.
Is 207 the actual Toot House and 209's the car wash?
No, it's 112 South Monroe.
It's down here.
The car wash is off the list because they fixed it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the other one we were talking about, Pam?
804 North Main is the two sheds in the back. There's holes in the roof, the garage door won't close, the windows
Is it on here?
Yeah, it's,
Second page?
nope, it's in right here, down middle of the page.
Yeah, oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So that I would like to set a deadline as well. I keep getting a runaround from the owner.
Okay, well, should we just have the same deadline for that too?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
so.
And how are we doing on that one that you said, the other one was the one with the motorcycle on the porch?
That, the resolution to set the public hearing has been passed at the last meeting, so the public hearing is on August 19th. And then if he doesn't come, then we'll prepare a second resolution to condemn it.
Okay. And is any other pushback anywhere else?
No, the rest of them are pretty cooperative, and I
Did you
can see a
know
little
that company
progress.
that's been working on it?
Yes, I
Did
talked
they
to him
contact-
today.
I'm sure they didn't know.
They know.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
but they were trying to get some sort of a lift here because he was uncomfortable stepping on that garage to cut it down because that
Yeah.
garage seemed a little
You can tell them
unstable.
the tree in the front needs to go too. 'Cause it's
Well, I
completely
don't.
dead.
Yeah, I don't know if I can
And
get
it's
him to
gonna
do
fall in the
that.
house.
Yeah, I did.
That one fell in the garage.
I did tell him that they have been working inside, and I basically told them that
Yeah.
I can't see the inside unless I see the progress outside. I have to move on with the abatement
Yeah.
process. So they promised me they're gonna start working on the outside here in a
And
couple
they were
weeks.
nice. I mean,
Yeah.
but we drove by the other day. I was like, "There's a whole tree on that garage."
Mhm, a
I
big
wonder
one,
how do they,
too.
hope they know.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, it was nice getting this, Pam, so I know it's a lot of work, so thank you.
Yeah, and I only submit it once a month because there's not a lot of change between the meetings, so it's not worth submitting it at every meeting. I need a motion to set the deadline.
Do we want to set a motion to go ahead and send out for bid at the end of 60 days for the Monroe, or do we want to bring it to the meeting and then make a motion to go to bid?
That's up to you.
If we can, I'd say just do it now. And then
and then you would just have the freedom in 60 days to go ahead and send out for bid.
One down or there's not progress, just to go get bids. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. I make a motion for 112 South Monroe to allow 60 days for the owners to tear down or come back with a scheduled date for tear down. Otherwise, the city will send out for bid for tear down of the property.
second.
Motion on the
Oh,
table
sorry.
by Aaron Gleason, second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? That's a 5-0. 4-0.
I'd make a motion to, do you need a motion for 804 as well? To give the property owner 60 days to make progress on their cleaning out of the shed, fixing the property.
Did the big thing
And
too.
then there's not really any action, other than we'll set a hearing after that, right? So it's just 60 days before the hearing.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
we would need to make a motion for that hearing, to set an actual
Yes.
date, so we'll just leave it at that.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron Gleason and second by Aaron Raines. Any more discussion on the second part of that? All opposed, or all for? All opposed, that's 4-0.
I'm so proud of you. You got
Huh?
names right
Yeah.
the entire meeting.
Quite an accomplishment. Okay, moving on. Anything else for Pam before we move on to Danny? Danny, I think you covered everything, or you got something
Well,
else?
I've got an ordinance on the water rate. I just got this done late this afternoon. There's in this removes that surcharge and ups it from $6 to $12 a month for the basically capital improvements to the water system. I didn't have this marked last time. I caught this today on the step 2 and step 3. It had the surcharge added to the bulk water rate as well. For whatever reason, the bulk water rate's not listed on step 1, so I took the surcharge off number 5 on steps 2 and step 3 there on bulk water as well on these.
And you did that, why?
Because that surcharge is on there to retire
Oh,
the debt
okay.
for the nitrate plant. So
Okay.
with that gone, I just missed that the first time through messing with it.
So we're good to go on this one.
That should be good. I
Okay.
double checked and the amounts
Okay.
or the prices on everything else is the same as it currently is.
The bulk water rate is gonna be 9.845 per thousand. Is that, what is that, $9.84? Is that $9,000.845 or what?
No. So it's $9 per 1,000
This
gallons.
is what
That's
at-
less than what it is now,
at that
isn't it?
rate. and then
No.
plus the
Right now
rate
it's at
that's
$9.
Surcharge.
It's $31.
So, on those two
33 hours.
sections. I took that
Okay,
one
I
out.
thought-
Nope.
So where's Bob at with what he's talking about? Right there.
Right there on
It's
that
because it's a
price.
half cent.
Oh, okay. Are you clear on that now, Bob?
Is there a typo or is it actually a half cent on the
That,
because it says $9.84.5.
I copy and pasted it from
Okay,
our
I can't-
city code. Let me
I can't decipher it.
let me double check though.
It's possible that there's a half cent. You get
Well-
2,000 gallons, you have another cent. But
It's also possible it's a typo.
It's most likely, cause down here it just said 994, so. I did talked to or went over the electric rates increase with Greg on Monday, and it looks like for our average consumer, there's only going to be about 4% increase. There's not much of an increase, but that would generate at least this year $79,000 extra revenue to the electric fund. The consumer that this rate will affect the most are like the empty houses or the one that use less than 100 kilowatt of power, because the base charge is going up, and that's what would be affecting them the most, not the usage. But for the average user, it's only 4% increase. So,
Average user will hit the minimum.
yes. Yep.
The current code has that 9.845, so it does go to 3 digits.
So can we update that as part of this? To just so we don't ask the same question the next time we come in. Is that possible, or?
I think I can't give you a word. I don't have it in my email where I can spit it or shoot it over to Pam, but I suppose we can make that
Amendment?
amendment to it.
Do we want it to be $9.84 or $9.85?
Why don't you just make it $10 and have it over with?
Well,
That's up to you guys too, if you wanna
Well,
do
I
it.
mean, step 3 goes to $9.94. These were just the rates that the people told us that we should go to.
I mean, it's bulk water, you're hauling it out of there.
You can make the first to be $10 and then like $10.50 on your next like step. It's up to you.
You're selling high nitrate water anyway.
What's our current rate, because it's not actually listed in step 1.
$9 even.
$9.
So did we not change that? Is that why it wasn't in the
Because it's not
ordinance for
listed as
step
step 1. On 6, it just says state mandated water protection fee for each 1,000 gallons sold at retail by city shall be listed as a separate line item, be maintained by the city as a special account and remitted quarterly. But it doesn't say a rate for the 1,000 gallons.
Because I think we still charging 9 unless, let me check on that. Because I think I went over with Laura about all this, and then we talked about bulk water, and that plan changed too. I can't remember.
Oh, actually,
Even $12 a thousand wouldn't be out of line.
I don't see another section that deals with bulk water.
No, it's just under that 15.
Well, I don't know what the pulse is on buying bulk water, so I don't really have an opinion what would be an appropriate price.
Yeah, and we have very limited customer for bulk water. I mean, Bob in the county is probably our biggest customer. And
Okay.
every once in a long while, we'll have somebody that do jobs close downtown that would come get bulk water. And it's not very rare.
Well, like,
Bob, how high do we have to go before you start filling it?
I'm just gonna pass it on to the oil company. Doesn't make any difference to me.
Smart.
I can tell you some horror stories.
when you
I got
come
one.
get bulk water, what's your load? How many 1,000 gallons?
Truck holds 3,300 gallon unless it's a semi, and then it'll hold more than that.
So you're getting $35
Yeah.
or less.
I thought it was costing $31.
Yeah, it's not, it's
Well,
very
yeah.
minimal.
I can tell you what it cost in Butch King.
What's that?
A lot of money.
Does it? Okay. Well, what do you guys think about Bob's input there?
It's up to you guys.
Okay.
The only people that get water down there is some of the local farmers,
So it was-
water cattle.
You know, the point of the rate study is to step it up though, so I mean, if you go to 10, I guess you don't have to step it up, but you're gonna do 10 and 28 and then go up to 11 or 12.
Just do 10, 11, 12 on the steps.
Yeah,
I would.
Okay.
31 or whatever.
Yeah.
So current rate needs to be on step 1 as 10. We need to put that on there. But then that messes up because that's not effective as September 1st, 2024. So do we need
Yeah, so we can't
do we need a number
probably do
7?
anything.
We need a number 7 that says effective September 1, 2025. Bulk water rate is $10 per thousand.
Probably cleaner that way.
However it's worded, keep it bulk water rate. It's $10 per thousand. And then this will be 11. This will be 12. Are you tracking with Aaron, Danny?
Yeah, so we'll add a number 7 under step 1 that says effective 9/1/25, bulk water is $10 per thousand. And then in step 2, it's $11 per thousand. In step 3, it's $12 per thousand gallons.
Yep. Is there anything else that needed to be amended?
Or you want us to approve the amendment tonight or approve it in 2 weeks?
What? How soon do you need it, Pam? Because you've got this set to start.
Greg will be here the next meeting, and I'm planning on having that ordinance for the electric rate ready to pass at the second meeting. So if you wanna wait and pass it all together, at the next meeting and then take effect at the end of July billing, that would be great. That
And
was my
then-
plan.
If the change happens halfway through this month, that gives you enough time.
Yes, cause we already billed out this month both water, so it won't really,
Okay.
we're not gonna do another billing until beginning of August.
August.
Yeah.
So does that rate need to be effective 9/1 or should it be effective 8/1?
We
For
can
bulk
do,
water.
we can do 8/1 and we'll
8/1.
just wait to
Okay.
bill the
Get your bulk water before August 1st.
I ain't gonna work.
Just kidding.
So 8-1?
8/1.
8/1,
You did
yes.
8/1?
Yep.
Oh, I would like to update you guys on the Hood Heaven grant. I had a meeting today with Stephanie and the guy from Tim, who's from KDH, not KDHG, CDBG consultant, and we go over the procedures, responsibilities, and contracts and stuff like that. So, you know, we are awarded that $300,000 to renovate the building. That's the grant, and then Tyler Wyckoff put in 148 and some change into that project, and the contract is right here for Bob to sign. Danny was in the meeting with us from the beginning, and he has to leave, but he had looked over most of that contract and he doesn't have any problem with it except for the repayment part, which he wanted tweaked just a little bit before Bob signed it. But that's getting ready to start as well, so.
Do they, once it's approved, do they have a timeline? Like they're gonna
Yes,
start right
so
away?
the deadline to finish the project is July 15 of 27. so they have the whole year to finish it up.
27,
Mm-hmm.
2 years.
2 years, sorry, yeah. Yeah, 2 years.
Okay.
Cause I think they have to go through the same process of like we did with Fifth Street. They have to put it out for bid, allow
Got it.
people to bid and all that stuff. Since it's the federal grant, it's actually a little bit more regulated than like the state grant that we got, so.
Yep. And then on the repayment, really I want to take out just kind of 2 paragraphs on that.
Okay. I will get with Stephanie. She sent me the PDF version, so we can't tweak it. But I'll get with her and get this changed.
They don't. Those are just changing, like the recitals at the start, they're not changing any of the obligations under that agreement, so I don't think those should be an issue. but
Okay. Okay.
I'd like them to be accurate.
Sure.
What's the difference? Just out of curiosity.
No, and it goes back to one of them said that the city already gave Tyler the $148,000 that he's providing. And city didn't give him any of that, he's just providing that. And so I don't think there's any reason to say. And then I don't know that the city determined that he was qualified for the grant. I think the city.
No.
So that's the other part that I want to take out there.
And Tyler already came in and signed all the paperwork, so his part is ready to go. We just need to sign out, and once Danny's okay with it, submit everything in the bidding process. Well, the environmental study will have to be done and submitted, and KDHE, I keep saying KDHE, CDBG will have to approve that first before the bidding start, which Stephanie, which is our grant writer, are doing that right now, so we don't have to do that part, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with that.
I got a question on the change lanes for you.
That's it. That's all I got.
Anything since we last spoke about the church? He asked for October about the stained glass,
Oh.
blah blah. And he said you're gonna get back with him.
Yeah, so we just talked, had a land bank, land bank meeting right before this.
okay.
Land bank approved a contract that would go through that. That where Mr. Wentz would agree to deed the property to the land bank, agree to let the museum get the stained glass windows out of it.
Okay.
We've got it set with the closing to be in the middle of October, that he'd get his personal property out of it prior to then.
This is a contract that we will
It's-
approach
Yeah,
Mr. Wentz with. It's not.
it had
Right.
been.
Both parties haven't approved it. The land bank has approved to approach him.
Yeah, and so I'll prepare a dismissal of the civil case that we filed against him, and if he's willing to sign the contract, then I'll get his signature on the dismissal, I'll sign the dismissal, and we'll file that, so that
Okay.
case will be dismissed.
So we're moving,
Yep,
potentially moving.
potentially, yeah,
Okay. Thanks.
yep.
Well, I've got everything for him.
Any other questions for Danny? Anything under old business that you wanna talk about, Fifth Street or Fountain?
No.
This street's covered, I think.
Is there any new business? Apparently
Well,
not.
something, I know this was, we're sort of jumping, getting going on this, and it sort of just stopped. Didn't see it on the agenda, so where are we?
Yeah, that was, I'm glad you brought that up because, they're wanting us to vote next meeting on
The
it.
next meeting.
And if there's
Because they
school
vote.
board meeting or what,
the
the
night
day
before.
before, yeah.
Yeah, we want to talk about it now.
Yeah. Tell me why I should want it. 'Cause I reached out to Bear see if I could get in there and take a look around, because I read the whole report. It sounds horrible. But these are however many people on the board opinion. I've talked to 3 people, asked them how would you feel about this. 2 had kids and 1 didn't have kids. And 2 out of the 3 said they wouldn't be in favor of it. And I just said, okay, that's all I think.
Of
it was
the bond
going
issue
for.
or the 1% tax?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. So I didn't know, that's a very small sample. And I just wanted to talk about it because it was brought to our attention, sort of, we haven't talked since.
Either way, am I understanding it correctly, whether we pass it or not? Like, if we pass the 1%, it would be actually cheaper on the property tax, because either way they're gonna raise the
So,
mill levy to get the money or get it from the 1%.
So if the school board approves the $17.9 million bond issue that has been proposed, they are voting on the Monday before our next meeting. They'll be voting on approving the dollar amount, which they've already consensus agreed on 17.9 as a board. Then what they're also approving is the language of the question, which defines the scope of the project for the ballot question. So they're approving to put on the ballot the specific money amount of 17.9 and the specific scope of how it will read on the ballot question, as it'll be like, as the school is in need of improvements, do you approve a bond issue in the amount of 17.9 million to renovate classrooms, increase size of classrooms? It'll list very specific things that they'll be held to, even with, change orders or whatever else. They'll be held to the 17.9, and they will be held to the scope that's listed on the ballot question. We don't do anything with that as a city. So if the school district, which includes people outside of the city as well, as a district approves the bond issue, then whether you voted for it or not, your property tax will increase, and it will increase to pay the bond amount that's due for the next 25 years on 17.9 million. And that's just across the board. The school and the district, the people who live within the district, are responsible for paying that over the next 25 years. So as a city, what the school has requested of the city is that we would pass a 1% sales tax that also goes towards the payment of that 25-year bond. What that does in practice is, as a property owner within the city limits, or actually a property owner even outside of the city
Let's
limits.
talk about agriculture land in here also.
Yeah, it will affect those as well, but that 1%, whatever we as a city, whether we say we're gonna pass a full 1%, or we're gonna pass a 1% that the city keeps 10% of, and 90% goes to the school, whatever dollar amount actually goes to the school will be taken off the obligation of the property holders within the district. And so what that does in projections is about a 3-point mill levy difference is what a 1% sales tax will cover. And so the way that I see it, as both a property owner within the city and a resident, a property owner within the district and a member of the city of St. John, is that I'm going to pay my share of the $17.9 million, whether there's a sales tax or not. If there is a sales tax, then at least I'm being charged the 1% on what I buy in town, but so is John Doe, who drives through and buys a candy bar at the grocery store, and the family that comes and eats at the pizza place when they're here for a ball game. And so, I mean, it's a small amount, but it's spread over people not living within the district.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Before I forget. So the last meeting, you said, well, you had mentioned something, what if one passes and the other one doesn't? Are we obligated if the 1% passes, but the proposal they're putting up there doesn't, are we obligated to give that money to the school? And you said you'd have to ask Stan.
It's all in the wording of the bond question, or the wording of the 1% question, because you could word the ballot question, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you could word the ballot question is, do you support a 1% sales tax within the city of St. John, a 1% use tax, or however it's worded, to go towards the bond payment if approved. And if the bond would not approve, but the 1% be passed, the 1% wouldn't pass because the bond didn't pass. That you
Right.
you can word it in a way that one would have to pass for the other to go.
You know, I think that has to be right, because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense to.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think they should coincide.
I think they should. So that's where, but that's, as my pitch to the council of it being a good idea for the citizens within the city limits, is that the property owners within the city limits are going to be paying the 17.9 million either way if the bond passes. And if we also pass a 1% sales tax, then you can choose to buy less within St. John if you want to spend less towards the school project. But it will actually, but some amount, although a small percentage, will be passed on to people who are coming and using our town for services, and it'll reduce our property tax burden by a small amount. But
Let me ask you this, if this doesn't go through, does the school board have a plan B?
I mean, you can put a bond issue on the ballot every year.
Okay,
I
I
mean,
just didn't know if they thought, well, let's
But once one
build a new
passes,
one.
then you're probably on an uphill battle, for sure.
Yeah,
But-
you're
Maybe-
potentially looking at, well, it probably didn't pass because of the amount. So then you're back to the drawing board, well, what can we cut out, or what amount do we think has a chance to pass, I guess would be
My understanding after talking to Carl is that the engineering firm or whatever it is seems pretty confident they can do that job within that amount.
Yeah.
I mean, he said he seemed very confident.
I mean, I'm not a construction estimator, but looking at their bids, I think that there's,
Because part of me is thinking, well, who am I to me, it's really up to the public to vote.
That's where I'm at on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think if it does pass, it's in the citizens of St. John's best interest to have the 1% tied to it. And at the end of the day, it's their choice whether,
Yeah.
if it passes or doesn't pass.
The only consideration for the city, you can only add so much in the sales tax. I think you can add 2% in general, and then another 1% on a special. This would be like on a special. So if you had plans on, we want to add 1% for these 3 other projects, if you've already got 1% committed to this, that would limit what you can do. But if you
That
don't
would be
have the intention of stacking on other, sales tax like that, then yeah, there's not really an issue with
It
it.
is a special 10-year.
special's 10-year. Would this have to be special? Because it would have to be renewed then.
Let me look.
Because I thought that what you sent me was kind of vague. Like it seemed like this would be a special thing, but it was almost like the general has enough ambiguity within the law that like really you can designate it for whatever you want.
Yeah, from that one conference call, I understood it as the city could choose to do one or the other.
Yeah, that's the way I took it.
Okay,
as well.
let me.
But
So, my question before this came up, would that go for 25 years?
a general, if we're allowed to do a general, we can specify it lasts 25 years, which is the same amount of bond. If we're required to make it a special, the longest a special to sales tax can be in place is 10 years. So then it would have to renew twice to cover the year of the bond. It would have to renew for another 10 and then another 5.
Well, yeah, I didn't really answer that in that email, did I?
So as far as just tentatively, we weren't in agreement on this, but we're thinking once the grocery store thing around out, we could possibly use that for the swimming pool, just to do some updates on it. So something, what is being discussed now, we won't be able to do that if it has to be a special. correct? Because you only have one special.
But we
I
can
think
pass
you can have,
another 1% general that just goes.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
have 2% in general sales tax and 1% in special, so I think you can have a total of 3%.
Right. But like a school bond issue where we're gonna defer
Which-
those funds.
This is the stuff I want to think about, and also. So, does the school board have an idea of how long, if this goes through, how long they're anticipating this is going to last?
Like,
This,
like
The
until,
repair.
until you have to do it again or upgrade
yeah,
something else.
is it good for like
It's
another
supposed to be
20
50
years,
to 60 years is what
tentatively?
is what the
Let's
it's
say
supposed to be a
40
50 to 60 year plan.
Okay.
Which one was the last time the school did a bond issue?
Bond issue. I don't know if they did a bond like in the 60s when they did the gym, or 60s or 70s I think was the gym and like the shop.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did a
So
bond.
that's 55 years.
I just didn't
So-
know.
Because I don't think they did a bond.
And those are not even hardly getting touched in this one because
Right.
so really if the quality is similar and stuff lasts the way it was built in the 70s, then it would be reason to think that 50 to 60 is a good estimate of when you might need to start looking at doing anything.
Well, that answers, gives me some more clarity.
We'll need to know
Hearing that.
what we can do before we vote next week, Danny.
Okay.
And so look at that and then maybe come with 2 versions of the question because we'll have to approve the ballot question as it's written. So maybe one as a special and then one that, as a general that goes 25 years, if that's allowed. If it has to be special, then it'll just be one.
And we need to consider what amount of this revenue go to the
Right.
school.
Any thoughts on that, Pam?
I mean,
As far as
We
the
did.
city?
we still.
Pam and I talked a little bit
Yeah.
after last meeting, only just theoretically. So if we can write the question to go into effect after 2027, which would just mean there's going to be a year of higher mill levy on the property taxes before the 1% kicks in, and then it would lower for the school for the bond issue. We also talked about if you just write it to go this lockstep with the bond issue. So then the city would have 2% sales tax for 1 full year. And then if we wanted to introduce a new sales tax, we could introduce it as a 0.5 point sales tax for the city. Because right now the grocery store sales tax, about half of it goes to the grocery store and half of it goes to the city. So we've been kind of operating as a city within a budget of a 0.5% sales tax. So as far as marketing it to the voters, you would be able to say, well, for the last year, we've had 2%. And this new ballot question is us proposing a 1.5% total sales tax. And we would be at a similar budget scenario with our sales tax revenue as we are currently.
And I like that so much better than trying to decide how much percentage of the 1% we're gonna keep and how much we're gonna send it to the school. I think that would be a better way to go.
Well, this, a side note, I was in Colorado Springs last week and I looked at my receipt and there's a cost of living tax for 3.3% when I was paying for my breakfast. And I didn't know, does the city? I mean, I'm noticing things like this now. And I thought, I wonder who made that because nobody seems.
That's plenty.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if.
Well, there's
It's just
also like, as far as like, and that's specifically use tax, but like, there's cities in Kansas that have occupancy tax that goes on. Like, when somebody stays at an Airbnb or at a hotel, there's a special occupancy tax. And I don't know if that's something we need to look at, but it's we're just talking specifically about use tax. I don't know
Yeah,
about
I just
cost
threw
of
that
living
out.
tax, but
Yeah, the,
Well, how can you argue with it?
in the current, because Bob asked about this, the current 1% sales tax is pretty broad. And so if that one's extended, what that 1% can be used for, it's not limited to just half to the grocery store and half to the city. That one's pretty open-ended.
We've got a contract with Echo, Echo Vivo, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We have to give them $50,000 a year for 10 years. And it's coming off 1% sales tax.
and sales tax is it's just a little over 100,000.
And that's where the 50,000.
So it's about
that
half.
goes to grocery.
Yeah.
Or that's where it's supposed to be.
But they made it probably broad, and then after it was passed, or that was probably part of the plan, then make it broad, and then
Yeah.
the council decided, well, what amount or what are we gonna give? Because the 50,000 wouldn't have been on the actual question.
Right. Right, and it's economic development, I can't remember what else, but the language used in there, it looks like it was, what's the most that we can include from the statute, under state law.
And the city council agreed to give the grocery store $50,000. That was done today.
But that ballot question though wasn't that narrow,
No.
and so there was more flexibility in that than just,
And I think it comes off in 27.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So what was, I know I'm switching, but something popped up and you said, Bob asked me. So what about, you wanted to bring up tonight about the taxing the
On
streets?
special use tax on Fifth Street. Pam talked to me a little bit before the meeting about it. You wanna talk to council, Pam?
So, I talked to Lisa a little bit about assessing a special assessment to the new street that we're getting ready to pave on the property owners. She's gonna send me what we did with the West Street when they paved that. But she didn't know how the amounts calculated based on the footage of the property, or how does that work. But the process actually started with us, to where like the attorney will have to draw up like a contract or whatever. I actually don't know what it's called, but and then we have to assess it every year, like we assess the mowing charge on the property, so it'll be a yearly thing. Trying to get
Okay.
more money to pay for the
On,
bond, like the special assessment.
yeah, I didn't say anything to the Smiths about that, and so when I asked them for the easements and everything, it was just, city wants to do this, like to get these easements so we can do this. and
I think this
we'll
is
pay
for
you a
like
little.
all of their owners along the road on both sides. I think that's what he has in mind.
Yeah,
I
I
personally would be against it just because there's not a lot there, and 80% of it is being paid for by KDOT. Like,
well, and just from my end, if I, this was in my mind that we were gonna look at a special assessment, I would have told them that up front too, because then they have said, no, we're not gonna give you the easement, and
and it was
I-
just a bargaining
Pay
chip
for
to say,
it,
well, we
yeah.
won't
Yeah.
if you pay.
yeah, I'd feel, I wouldn't like approaching them and say, hey, now that you agreed to this, we're gonna up your. I get the idea behind it, and if we'd have done that on the front end, I'd feel a lot better about it, but I didn't say anything to them about that when I approached them.
Yeah, we were just talking about possibility of extra income that could have come in and helped make the payment, so.
Well, it's nice to consider all possibilities. Where I'm a little torn is, I was just concerned about the potholes in front of the grocery store. They sort of manifested into this thing. And nobody was asking for it, except me. It's like, what can we do about these potholes? So it'd be nice to know how much money could be used to help pay for it. And the other side is, maybe those people were happy going down a dirt washboard dirt road. They didn't mind it. So that's sort of where I'm at. And then when you bring that up, it'd been nice to tell them everything. We just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Because now my mind's gone, well, do they do the square footage of the property or just linear feet? You know,
I think actually it was linear feet on both sides of the street, if I remember.
because what about the property?
They used to do that on sewers too, in an alley. If they put a new sewer in, they assessed both property.
Yeah.
But when they put in Banker Road and north of me, and the one from the county to First Street, because First Street was dirt in the 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon practice.
But I think Danny's right, it was done up front.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it was, of course, back then, you know, could have been $40, you know.
Right.
You might want to stop if the council's okay with it and spending their time doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll serve. The whole town's going to use it. It's not really just benefiting those houses, and we're getting 80% of it paid for. So
That's another good point.
Any more discussion on new business? I'd entertain an executive session, I believe it's for Mike.
I make a motion for a 5-minute executive session to discuss non-elected personnel, to include council, mayor, attorney, and chief of police, to return at 8:17.
Second.
Motion on the table by Aaron Gleason, second by Mark Bryant. Any more discussion, all in favor?
You didn't
All
want
opposed?
me in here.
Well,
Oh,
we're at the
did I
table.
not say clerk?
You didn't say the table, you just say
Nice.
mayor, council, and I can leave.
No, you should be in here.
Okay.
I'll
Retract
make a new motion, retract the old motion, for a 5-minute executive session to discuss non-elected personnel, to include the table, chief of police, to return at 8:18.
Second.
Got a motion on the table and a second by Mark Bryant. Any more discussion, all in favor? All opposed?
10 minutes.
Call- Out of executive session, call regular council meeting back to order. I'd entertain a motion to go back into executive session if you choose.
I'll make a motion to go back into another executive session with the table and the chief for 10 minutes. What time does that give us, Aaron?
18.
And return.
18 right now.
8:28.
We'll return at 8:28.
Second.
Got a motion on the table by Aaron Raines, a second by Mark Bryant. All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. Call regular council meeting back to order from executive session.
It's too hot to walk. I know I walked to work earlier.
Your gizmo.
Oh,
So we're gonna go fast.
You better talk quick. You got 10%.
Somebody want?
Any motion?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to hire Greg McAllister for the St. John Police Department at $22 an hour for 6-month probation.
Got a motion on the table by Mark Bryant
Second.
and a second by Aaron Gleason. Any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0. With that being said,
Got
We need-
one more.
I'll make a motion to, do we have a contract or just allow, is it just, there's nothing really in writing, right? Outside of going outside the handbook.
Yeah.
I make a motion to allow Chief Sanders to operate outside of the handbook, specifically in the area of living within city limits, to allow him to live 3 miles outside of town, and also to allow him to take a squad vehicle home with him so that he can respond quicker to emergencies.
Second.
Got a motion on the table and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
I'd make a motion to adjourn regular council meeting July 1st, 2025.
Second.
Got a motion on the table to adjourn, second, all in favor? All opposed? Passes 4-0.
10%.
Council meeting done.